Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Please be seated. It's great to see everyone on this very sunny and warm New York day. Be thankful, those of you who don't have to wear a polyester black robe when it's 92 degrees out. But it's great to see you. My name's Kevin Schallenberger. I'm the Dean of Students, and I have the pleasure of working with these amazing, talented undergraduate students from Columbia College and Columbia Engineering. So we're here today to celebrate the class of 2014 and our new transfers and combined plan students into the Columbia community. So on behalf of President Bollinger, Provost Steele, Vice President Dirks, Dean Moody Adams, Dean Penamora, and Daniel Chavella, we welcome you to Convocation 2010. To help honor our new students and families as they embark on this exciting journey, we are joined today by members of our alumni network, Columbia's distinguished faculty, staff, and administrators, and current student leaders. Their support is a hallmark of the Columbia experience, which is defined not only by the learning that takes place in the classroom and laboratories, but also by the community that thrives both here on campus and around the world. To new students, today marks for you the induction into this community. You will soon see for yourself that it is a close-knit one, where ideas are exchanged often in lively debate, traditions passed on from generation to generation, diversity of all kinds valued, and intellectual and co-curricular inquiry encouraged. And though we are many in number, shared traditions, uniquely Columbian experiences, and common principles connect us all. This vibrant and exciting community is one in which each of you now belongs. And on behalf of the entire Columbia community and Columbia family, we welcome you. I love our orientation leaders and RAs. So this is one of many occasions we in the Division of Student Affairs look forward to. We prepare in great earnest for your arrival to our new students and the fervor that will soon overwhelm the campus in the next few days. You'll take part in academic advising sessions, community forums, resident hall meetings, runs in Riverside Park, and adventures in New York City. And there are many other numerous activities that are in your orientation booklet. You will be guided in this exploration by current students capably navigating you as crew chiefs, orientation leaders, resident advisors, and community advisors. They will help you acquaint you with one another, Columbia, and the city you now call home. They have made an extraordinary commitment of energy and time to ensure the next week leaves you with great and lasting memories of your first few days here at Columbia. So please help me and join me in thanking these very dedicated and enthusiastic student leaders. New students, we know that each of you will follow in their footsteps, contributing in your own way to this thriving and vibrant community here in Morningside Heights. This is one of the reasons we selected you, and I know one of the many reasons you selected us, and I'm glad you did. Indeed, we have a lot to be proud of here at Columbia, but certainly our student body is at the top of the list. Our students make the Columbia experience uniquely so, and a Columbia education one of the best in the world. They are talented, curious, passionate. Their past experiences are wide-ranging, but their hopes and dreams for the future even more so. Their origins are diverse and many, represented by the 159 flags, both state and country flags that you see before you. And the class of 2014 certainly contributes to this diversity, representing 48 states and 52 countries, and interests in 90 different majors and concentrations. The class of 2014 brings a variety of ideas, cultures, perspectives, and heritage from which our entire community will benefit. In the coming days and weeks, you'll get to know much more about your fellow Columbia students, and many of them will become your lifelong friends. You will learn from them and them from you, so don't underestimate this part of your education. Yes, today marks an exciting journey of discovery, learning, and growth, but we all know that with this comes some major changes. You are moving here, some of you very far from home, to begin your college education at Columbia. For a short while at least, you are leaving familiar faces and routines. It may not always be easy, but the best things in life rarely are. Some of the greatest learning moments, no doubt, will be some of the challenges you face both in and outside the classroom. But rest assured, we are here to support you every step of the way. This week, you'll be introduced to many advisors, mentors, and offices that will support you. Take the initiative to make those connections. Reach out to your academic and personal advisors in the Center for Student Advising, your financial aid advisors. We have community development advisors working with our clubs and organizations, career advisors in our Center for Career Advising. We have a whole team of people here to assist you. Get to know your RA, learn about the other support services that are available on campus, and make good use of the systems that we put in place to help you succeed. Should you ever need anything or be pointed in the right direction, please call on anyone in the Division of Student Affairs to help you. And if I, for a moment, can just turn to the parents and families and friends in the audience, we recognize that this is a big change for you too. But my hope is that you can leave here today confident in the support services that we have in place to help your students succeed. Please know that they are in good hands. We look forward to working with you and supporting your son and daughter, and to seeing you here for family weekend or casual visits to campus, and engaging with you via our Office of Family and Parent Programs. You will soon learn, if you haven't already, that families are also an important part of our Columbia community. And lastly, students, above all else, enjoy your experience at Columbia, make it your own, get involved with campus life, work hard, contribute to the larger community, and by all means take advantage of everything this world-class institution and city have to offer you. We look forward to accompanying you in this once-in-a-lifetime journey. You will surely discover hidden talents, explore new passions, uncover academic interests, and settle comfortably into your new role as Columbians. So again, wonderful seeing all of you, and welcome. And now I'd like to introduce to you Kevin Magus, Columbia College of 2012, and our coordinator for New Student Orientation Program. Born and raised in New York State, Kevin is studying French, although you are more than likely to see him taking courses in anthropology and gender studies. On campus, he's actively involved in the Columbia Queer Alliance and Queer Awareness Month and the annual All-Ivy LGBT Conference. Kevin takes full advantage of our location here in New York City and likes attending Broadway shows and the Metropolitan Opera. This is his second year working with NSOP, and he has shared that one of his favorite things about the experience is actually move-in day and seeing all the excitement that's brought to campus from our new students and families. So please join me in welcoming Kevin.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today welcoming you, Columbia's class of 2014, incoming transfer and combined plan students, your parents, friends, and families, into the community that I call home. It was just 2 years ago that I sat where many of you do today, as new students in Columbia College or the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science. I too was welcomed by a fellow undergraduate, and I wondered if I would someday call this place, which was then so new to me, home. Now, standing before you, I have no doubt that long after commencement day has passed, and I find myself living in another neighborhood, another borough, another city, or even halfway around the world, I'll always call this place home. But what exactly does that mean? Merriam-Webster defines home as not only a place of residence, but a social unit, a familiar or usual setting, and a congenial environment. In college, I think home takes on two important meanings. First, we seek an intellectual home, where we may explore academic interests freely and without consequence, and where we're comfortable expressing and sometimes defending what we believe. Columbia is a place where we're taught how to think instead of what to think, and a place where we gain confidence in our convictions and our understandings of the world. We learn not only in class, but from our life experiences outside the classroom. We're encouraged not to study just what will be on the exam, but also to ponder how that knowledge affects our understanding of the world in which we live. Most importantly, we're taught not only what is required to earn our degree, but how to continue learning every day, long after Low Library and Lerner Hall are but fond memories. The Columbia community is built on this philosophy of learning as a lifelong pursuit. Learning is our means of understanding the world, and I've found, as I'm sure you will, that this principle is embodied in every member of the university community. It's commitment to this philosophy that unites generations of Columbians before us and leads them to call this place their intellectual home. And it's that same commitment that will continue to enlighten many generations more. Second, we seek a home where we may find solace and comfort in a strong community, where we're supported as we explore our passions, leave our mark, take risks, and discover who we are. For each of us, this will mean different things, and no two of our journeys will look alike. But we can all benefit from words of advice from perhaps an unlikely source. I'm sure many of you remember Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. As she would say, it's time to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. Sure, it sounds scary at first, and frankly, before I arrived at Columbia, I never really stopped to consider the true meaning of those words. But never before in our lives have we been given the chance to make such impactful and life-changing decisions as we make during these years. What causes will we take up? What organizations will we join? Who will we befriend, and what will we do after graduation? For most of us, the opportunity to live so spontaneously will vanish after we leave campus at commencement. In many ways, the next few years are our departure from the real world. Obviously, we have an objective for being here, to earn a degree. But along our journey to graduation, each of our unique paths is far more important than our common destination. So during orientation and throughout your time here at Columbia, the best advice I can give is to be open to new experiences and to take advantage of unexpected opportunities because they'll inevitably arise. You'll be supported in your adventure by one another, by your professors, your advisors, your mentors, and your family. You'll inevitably find your way and also come to consider Columbia your home away from home. To demonstrate this point, I'd like to share a few personal experiences. The first occurred before I even considered applying to Columbia, the second before I chose to attend, and the most recent after I arrived. My first story begins during my college search, in my junior year of high school. As many of you probably did, I visited quite a few schools. A number of my top choices were in the New York metro area, but you might be surprised to learn that our very own Columbia was not on that list. It was only at the insistence of my mother that I agreed to a campus visit and an information session. This is a chance that I'm happy I took, to be sure. The lesson here is be willing to take risks. Give yourself permission to veer from the straight path you've chosen and abandon your preconceived notion of the best route. Indeed, some of the most carefully laid plans are meant to be broken. The second story I want to share occurred a little over a year later. After decision letters arrived, I was faced with the choice of which school to attend. I participated in Days on Campus, which is a fresh memory for many of you, I'm sure. The weekend was so full of activity that my memory of it is a blur, but one thing I remember distinctly is a tour of Morningside Heights. Our neighborhood, though charming, is less the focal point of my memory than the student who led the tour. I quickly forgot his name and his face, but his exuberance and enthusiasm for life, for learning, and for Columbia itself made a lasting impression on me. With that, my mind was made up, based on little more than a hunch. I would attend Columbia. And this turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. The lesson here? Be willing to make decisions that just feel right. Be open to making a mistake. Most of the time you can correct it. Trust your convictions. This leads me to my final story, which centers on my friend Peter. We met through mutual friends soon after I arrived on campus, and I was immediately drawn to the energy and the passion he displayed in everything that he did. We shared many late nights in Butler Library, and over a number of months we became close friends. It was on one of those nights, when we were discussing his involvement with the undergraduate recruitment committee and days on campus, that I realized he was the tour guide who had welcomed me those many months before. The lesson here is that even though you find yourself surrounded today by unfamiliar faces, you might end up best friends with the stranger to your left. Keep an open mind about everyone and everything you encounter here. Take a risk, explore a new interest, enroll in a class outside your major just because, or invite the acquaintance you run into every day for a cup of coffee. As you embark on your journeys of self-discovery today, I have but one request. As you find your way to your home in our community, remember that it's okay to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. You never know where you're going to end up.
Thank you, Kevin. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Daniel Chavello, President of the Columbia Engineering Alumni Association. Mr. Chavello graduated from Columbia Engineering in 1975 with a Bachelor's of Science and received his Master's of Science the following year. He is currently the president of Minerva Health Technologies, a company specializing in personal health record management software development. His company was named after Minerva, the Roman goddess of wisdom and medicine, and the real name of Columbia's alma mater sculpture. As an active Columbia Engineering alumnus, he has served as an Alumni Representative Committee Regional Chairperson, a Civil Engineering and Engineering Mechanics Industry Advisory Committee member, and a Columbia Engineering Alumni Association Board member and Board Secretary. This is his second year as President of the Alumni Association and as an ex officio member of the Board of Visitors. Please join me in welcoming a very active alumnus, Mr. Chavello.
So on behalf of over 60,000 members of the Columbia College and Columbia Engineering Alumni Associations, I would like to welcome the class of 2014. And of course, I would like to also welcome all of the proud parents and family members. My daughter just graduated from Columbia Engineering last year. So as a proud alumnus and proud Columbia parent, I know firsthand the special character of Columbia and how wonderful and exhilarating the Columbia experience will be for you during the next 4 years. The excitement of New York City, the wide range of campus organizations, the diversity of the student body, and the stellar and abundant academic opportunities are all beyond compare, creating an amazing and enriching experience for those who live and study here. And hopefully you will find, as my daughter and I did, that the beautiful Columbia campus is a peaceful urban oasis in the midst of a dynamic but sometimes hectic city. Now, some of you may be wondering why an alumnus was asked to speak to you today, considering that you haven't even attended your first class yet. Well, you have just completed 4 years of hard work in high school for the right to become a Columbia student. You will work even harder, that's right, even harder, for the next 4 years for the right to become an alumnus or alumna of Columbia University. Now think about this for a moment. You will be a Columbia student for about 4 years, but you will be a Columbia alum for the rest of your life. In fact, I am proud to say that this year I am celebrating 35 years as a Columbia alumnus. But I am not sure I would have even been admitted if I had to compete with the quality of today's applicants, especially students like you. So, I still carry my original Columbia ID card to prove that I was once a student here. I also keep it to prove that I once had hair, and lots of it. More importantly, it really is a great reminder of all of my wonderful memories as a student, as an active alumnus, and now even as a Columbia parent. When you graduate, I'm sure you will also leave Columbia with great memories, as I did. Just look around you. Some of your fellow classmates will become lifelong friends and will forever remain a part of your Columbia family. And the networking opportunities here with your professors, classmates, and alumni are invaluable. You will meet people from all backgrounds and from all walks of life. In fact, networking is a great way, if not the best way, to help find a job after graduation and to help advance your career. I can personally say that my Columbia connections continue to have a lasting and significant impact on my life. So here is my recommendation to all future Columbia alumni. Get actively involved during your years as a Columbia student. It will help you define a rewarding and memorable college experience. And your memories as a student will help determine your experiences as an alum after you graduate. Now, one of your memories, I am sure, will be singing the Columbia University alma mater, Stand Columbia, many, many times during the next 4 years. Sorry, I'm not going to sing it for you today. However, our alma mater does remind me of a quote by Archimedes painted on one of the walls of the SW Mudd Building. It reads, "Give me a place to stand, and I will move the earth." You have chosen to stand Columbia. You have chosen to come to Columbia to move the earth, to help make the world a better place. We, the members of your Columbia family, are counting on you for outstanding leadership in the best Columbia tradition. Now, speaking of Columbia traditions, I hope to see the newest members of my Columbia family throughout the year at many of the social, academic, and cultural events sponsored by the Columbia College and Columbia Engineering Alumni Associations. And of course, I hope to see all of you on Homecoming Day next month in October, because this just might be the year Columbia wins the Ivy League title. Okay, so I would now like to introduce Feniaski Peñamora, Dean of Columbia University's Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science. Dean Peñamora is also the Morris and Alma Shapiro Professor of Engineering at Columbia University, and he holds academic appointments as Professor of Civil Engineering and Engineering Mechanics, Professor of Earth and Environmental Engineering, and Professor of Computer Science. He has earned an international reputation for his scholarship, teaching, research, and engineering innovations, as well as hands-on leadership in managing major global engineering construction projects. Before coming to Columbia, he served as Associate Provost and the Goodscale Endowed Professor in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And he was previously an Associate Professor in Civil and Environmental Engineering at some school called MIT, from which he received his Doctor of Science degree in Civil Engineering Systems. During his first year as Dean of the school, Dean Peñamora has moved Columbia forward with positive momentum towards its goal of becoming a top 10 engineering school. And he has created an enduring sense of community on campus. The Dean is truly admired by alumni, faculty, and students. Under his deanship, Columbia Engineering continues to be a globally renowned center for interdisciplinary research, as well as the college of choice for those who seek a superb technical and liberal arts education within an exciting urban setting for a university. Please join me now in welcoming Dean Feniaski Peñamora.
Thank you, Dan, for those words. I'm happy to join President Bollinger, Provost Steele, Vice President Dirks, Dean Moody Adams, Dean Schollenberger, Alumni Association President Chiavello, New Student Orientation Program Coordinator Kevin Magos, and members of the Columbia University faculty in welcoming you, students of Columbia College and Columbia Engineering, your parents, family, and friends to today's convocation ceremonies. As I greet you all, and particularly as I greet the Columbia Engineering class of 2014 for the first time as a whole, I see this moment as the beginning of a 4-year journey that leads not only to your graduation in 2014, but to the celebration of the school 150th anniversary. We are fortunate to have you here at this time as part of a historic class and a benchmark event in the history of the school. We will be planning exciting celebrations of our sequential, and I look forward to your participation in the process and the celebration. As it is fitting for a historic class, you are impressive in many ways and have set new admissions records. Collectively, you are among the brightest, the most socially responsible, and most artistically gifted high school students in the country and indeed the world. And these qualities apply equally to those of you who are transfer students or students of the combined plan. You too come to Columbia Engineering with most impressive credentials, having already shined academically at other institutions. All of you engineering students here today, as you start your journey at Columbia, are following in the tradition of the classes that have preceded you, and as such are becoming part of an academic lineage that goes back further than the founding of our school, indeed to the founding of Columbia itself in 1754. From the very beginning, King's College, as Columbia was known then, was established to enlarge the mind, improve the understanding, polish the whole man, and today, of course, the whole woman, and qualify them to support the brightest characters of all the elevated stations in life. This educational tradition, in what we call today the liberal arts, but the unique charge of King's College also was to teach the arts of numbers and measuring, of surveying and navigation, the knowledge of various kinds of meteors, stones, mines, and minerals, and everything useful for the comfort, the convenience, and the elegance of life. So even before our school became an independent entity, Columbia was an institution of and for engineers. Among the early graduates, John Stevens of the class of 1768 stands out. Stevens invented a technology that made possible early steamboats and locomotives. He lobbied for patent laws in the early days of this country so that his innovations could be protected. Thus, it is often said that the concept of intellectual property in the United States has its roots at Columbia. Other great engineers later followed, including DeWitt Clinton, class of 1786, who shaped the history of New York City as a mayor and the history of New York State as a governor. He was a driving force behind the construction of the Erie Canal, providing a water route to connecting New York City to the middle of America. As some America moved westward and expanded the country geographically, others were responsible for an incredible intellectual expansion in the fields of engineering, applied science, and the pure sciences. With this explosive increase in scientific knowledge came the need to specialization, and our school was one of the first of its kind in this country. In 1864, Columbia founded the School of Mines, where all the scientific disciplines were contained. Within a quarter century, the new school was turning out many of the country's most prominent engineering leaders. One was William Barclay Parsons, class of 1882, who was responsible for building New York City's first subway line, the Broadway line, with a stop right over here at 116th Street. But Parsons' influence was not just felt locally. He was among the first Colombian engineers to have a global impact. In 1898, he traveled to Shanghai to become a primary surveyor and designer of China's 1,000-kilometer railroad from Canton to Hong Kong. He is definitely an early example of a socially responsible Colombian engineering leader working globally. Other great engineers and inventors from our school are peppered throughout the country's history, all making advancements for the comfort, the convenience, and the elegance of life. From Michael Pupin, the developer of the transatlantic undersea telegraph cable, and his pupil, Edwin Armstrong, who revolutionized modern radio communications in the early 20th century, to modern-day alumni like Jim Alba, president of Boeing Commercial Airlines, Armen Avenetian, and managing director of Goldman Sachs, Ursula Burns, CEO of Xerox, Vikram Pandit, CEO of Citigroup, and our two most recent astronauts, Greg Johnson and Mike Maximino. By the way, Mike Maximino is the first person to tweet from outer space. All these Colombian engineering alumni and others like them have made their mark, not only on this world, but in the case of our astronauts, on this world and beyond. Just as our alumni were shaped by the professors, so will be you. You will be taught by faculty who are working on some of the greatest challenges in society. For example, in the broad area of sustainability, that might be energy, climate, or water. You will work with faculty such as Professor Klaus Lackner, who is developing artificial trees that will scrub carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, much the same way as real tree does. Professor Alicia Park, who is working on an efficient, cost-effective energy conversion system that converts non-recyclable plastic into jet fuel. Professor Ponisaral Somasundram, who most recently is investigating the effects of the BP oil spill on the waters in the Gulf. Professor Hu-Min Chen, who is developing roofing materials that double as solar panels. And Professor Patricia Collihan, who is examining the effectiveness of green roofs to cool buildings and reduce or mitigate storm runoff. All these professors and many more are working on ways to better the human condition, whether through the investigation of fundamental principles or the application of those principles. They are part of the legacy of faculty excellence that has marked Columbia Engineering from its earliest years. And it is this faculty that will support you, students, as you become part of the Columbia Engineering lineage. On that links to early Columbia and to the Ivy League tradition that goes back to colonial times. As the newer member of the Columbia Engineering family, you will become the next generation of Columbia Engineering and applied science leaders. As you take on greater responsibilities of leadership in your profession, working on socially responsible projects to improve the human condition, you will be impacting lives of future generations. Early this month, I hosted a meeting of the Ivy League engineering deans, and we talked about what differentiates an engineering education and Ivy League institution from what is taught at other institutions. We agree that the difference hinges on many factors, among them the strength of the academic offerings outside of the engineering disciplines, the uniqueness of the cohort of students who attend our institution, and the excellence of the faculty. At Columbia, I call this educational paradigm pie engineering. And just so there's no mistake, this is the Greek letter pi, no apple pie. Think about the Greek letter. Consider it as a cross being supported by two columns. Remember, I'm a civil engineer, so. The first supporting column of a pi engineer is the depth of knowledge you will gain in your engineering and applied science major. The second supporting column is the knowledge that you will gain from involved in research experience, entrepreneurship programs, community-based service learning, and minors both technical and in the liberal arts available throughout the school and the college. The overarching beam between the two supporting columns is Columbia's famed core curriculum. The knowledge you gain in the humanities that give you broader context to your engineering and applied science knowledge. Columbia's core curriculum stands out as the quintessential way to provide all students with wide-ranging perspectives on transformative ideas in literature, philosophy, history, music, art, and science. With the core curriculum, to provide the context for your specialized knowledge, I know you will have a significant impact on our future. You will follow in the footsteps of the great alumni who have gone before you, and you will set the footprints for the next generation of socially responsible global engineering and applied science leaders whose work results in the betterment of the human condition. So I'm looking forward to sharing these coming years with you, starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at Habermeyer for your orientation, academic orientation. I will be there to greet you personally and to make your first academic event at Columbia Engineering memorable. It promised to be exciting. Thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dean Michelle Moody Adams, Dean of Columbia College. And Vice President for Undergraduate Education. You might say that this convocation marks the start of our sophomore year together at Columbia. Dean Moody Adams came here last July from Cornell, where she was the Hutchinson Professor of Philosophy, Director of the Program on Ethics and Public Life, and Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. An accomplished scholar, she also taught at Indiana University, the University of Rochester, and Wellesley College. She holds a BA degree from both Wellesley College and Oxford University, and earned her MA and PhD in philosophy from Harvard. She has won numerous academic honors, including National Endowment for the Humanities Fellowship and a Marshall Scholarship. Please join me in welcoming Dean Moody Adams.
So good afternoon, and welcome to all of our new students, incoming, transfer, visiting students, and combined plan students, and of course the class of 2014. We are so glad that you are finally here. As you've heard many times over the last few months, you are a very select group of students, and it's my pleasure to congratulate you on the outstanding accomplishments both inside and outside the classroom that have brought you here today. I'm happy to be joined on stage by several of the university's senior academic leaders. So President Bollinger, Provost Steele, Arts and Sciences Vice President Dirks, and Engineering and Applied Sciences Dean Peñamora. Their presence here affirms the university's commitment to undergraduate education and to ensuring that Columbia is a vibrant academic community in which even our newest members can accomplish remarkable things. Welcome also to the families, and perhaps especially to the parents, whose nurture and support have been central to the success of the students gathered here this afternoon. I suspect that right about now, you are having mixed feelings. You're proud of your children's achievements, and you understand that they need to find their own way in this exciting new community if they are to achieve even more. And yet, at the same time, it's so very hard to leave. But take comfort in the fact that the student affairs professionals at Columbia are just as committed as our academic leaders are to the success of your daughters and your sons. Over the last 26 years, I've been a professor and academic administrator at institutions large and small, public and private, small town and urban. And in that time, I have never worked with a more dedicated, accomplished, and effective group of colleagues than the student affairs professionals here at Columbia. By all accounts, your experience of our move-in days has demonstrated this dedication, so I thank Dean Schallenberger and his incredible staff for that and for all that they do every day to make this campus a safe and welcoming place. And to the continuing students like Kevin Magos, who have worked so hard to make orientation exciting and helpful, thank you too for your commitment to Columbia. Now, absolutely. Now, members of the incoming class, I know that you are feeling your own anxiety and uncertainty. We hope that our summer advising sessions, your Facebook networks, and the efforts of committed alumni like Daniel Chavello, who's president of our Engineering Alumni Association, will go at least some way towards calming that first-year anxiety and uncertainty. But I suspect that nothing that happens before you arrive on campus can entirely prevent these feelings. Of course, there's some things of which you can be certain. You have joined an academic community that offers a remarkable array of academic programs taught by faculty scholars and researchers working at the leading edge of their disciplines. If you're a Columbia College student, you know that you will choose from among more than 70 majors, more than 30 concentrations in the humanities, the arts, the social sciences, and the natural sciences. The menu of academic offerings includes everything from long-standing majors such as classics, chemistry, English, and Italian, to the newer kids on the block, like film studies, financial economics, and sustainable development. You also know that prior to the academic specialization that you do in a major or concentration, you will complete that celebrated program in general education that we call the Columbia College Core Curriculum. The core preserves the best. It preserves the best of the liberal arts tradition. It encourages active but respectful disagreement and debate, and we hope it leads you to insightful and imaginative thinking and genuinely analytical and critical understanding. Of course, as I recite this extraordinary menu of academic choices, and as all of you think about the possibilities that these choices create for you, you may start to feel a little bit like the character of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, when she realizes all at once that she's not in Kansas anymore. And indeed, your horizons are expanding in so many ways. You've spent at least 4 and perhaps as many as 12 years planning for one thing, getting into a first-rate college. But now the boundaries of your choices are expanding. And this isn't just because the academic and extracurricular menu is getting bigger in college, but it's because your academic and personal goals are becoming much more richly textured and much more complex. Of course, some of you have come to Columbia knowing exactly what you want to major in, perhaps even knowing precisely where you want to be 5 or even 10 years down the line. But in a very short time, even you will realize that college opens up many different paths by which you might eventually get where you know you want to be. And the majority of our incoming students expect the first few years of college to help them decide what to major in and help them figure out where that major might lead. If you are in that majority, you will be anticipating the complexity of the choices that lie ahead even more intensely than students who come in confident of the major they will choose. But none of you should let this complexity overwhelm you. Instead, start thinking now about how to embrace the best aspects of your uncertainty so that you'll be able to keep your anxiety about it within manageable bounds. So, for instance, when you are in class and you feel that you do not understand something, or you're not quite sure why your instructor or your fellow students think that some idea is important, don't hesitate to say so. As a professor, I have found that the students who get the greatest benefit out of my classes and who ultimately derive the most from their college experience are students who are not afraid to acknowledge and express their uncertainty. It takes a lot of courage, of course, to embrace uncertainty in this way. It takes courage whether you do so in a relatively public setting of a classroom discussion, or if you do it in an individual meeting with an instructor or an advisor. But if you embrace uncertainty in the right way, you will be on the right path to taming it. In my classes, students who have admitted their uncertainty are often voicing the very same uncertainty that's felt by their peers. And even when they speak primarily for themselves, their comments often provide the opportunity to clarify concepts or problems of value to the class as a whole. I suggested earlier that even the outwardly most sophisticated and self-confident student coming to a place like Columbia can sometimes feel a little bit like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. But recall that in that story, Dorothy eventually realizes that it's possible to find wonder in her everyday surroundings. The value of this insight transcends the story, it transcends generational differences, it transcends cultural difference, and it has shaped human experience and culture in the most extraordinary ways. When we embrace uncertainty, we will find that surprise and astonishment may await us in even the most ordinary and familiar contexts. Poets and philosophers have celebrated wonder as an essential component of great poetry and drama. Theologians recognize that wonder is often the source of religious insight, and thinkers of all kinds understand that wonder is the origin of groundbreaking discovery in science and indeed in virtually every field of human inquiry. So this suggests that one of the most important things you as a student can do is to remain open to the possibility of being surprised. Surprised by what you will do and learn here at Columbia, and by the people with whom you will share this Columbia experience, whether in the classroom and laboratory, on the athletic field, or in a night at the opera, over pizza or pad thai in your residence hall. Remain open to the possibility that you will be surprised by and astonished by some wonderful but unexpected insight. Of course, this world can be hostile to wonder. When political debates celebrate smugness and self-righteousness, they may thereby lead young people to cynicism and apathy. When secondary school experiences leave students feeling fatigued and overworked, they may become jaded by the sometimes mindless pursuit of credentials and numbed by constant testing that undermines academic excitement. But the students who are in front of us here today are here because their application suggested that they are special. Students, you are special. Your application suggested to us that your academic achievements in high school grew out of genuine interest, and that your extracurricular activities embodied serious commitment. As you embark on your Columbia careers, resolve now to do everything you can to prove that we were right. Embrace uncertainty and remain open to surprise and wonder. And I promise that your time at Columbia will turn out to be some of the best years of your lives. Thank you. A little cool in there. Okay. It's now my pleasure to introduce Columbia University President Lee Bollinger. President Bollinger is a truly visionary academic leader. He is also a widely cited scholar of the First Amendment, with a special focus on freedom of speech and freedom of the press. He is a director of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, of the Washington Post Company, a member of the Pulitzer Prize Board, and a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Before becoming president at Columbia, he was president at the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor, where he also served as a law professor and dean of the law school. He is a graduate of the University of Oregon, and he earned his law degree right here at our own Columbia Law School. He clerked for Judge Wilfred Feinberg on the U.S. Court of Appeals and for former United States Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger. So please join me in welcoming President Bollinger to the podium.
Thank you very much. I just have a very few things to say to the new students, but before that, let me just say a welcome to the parents and the families who are here, especially the parents. For those of us who have had children and sent them to college and sent them to Columbia, we know that this is a very poignant moment. So for the students, a few simple things to say to you this afternoon, which I've condensed in recognition of how busy the time this is for you, as well as how bewildering. The first thing is about you and this period of life that you're entering. It's a simple message again, but very profound, and one you will hear from every direction, perhaps especially from your parents. It is this: this will be a time in your lives that will be unlike any other. It is, in fact, one you will always be trying to recreate for yourself, because in a way it's impossible fully to appreciate until you don't have it anymore. Never again will you have the full array of human knowledge at your beck and call, with the most knowledgeable people in the world standing ready and eager to be your guides. And at a time when you can be single-minded about learning, and when you have the energy to engage fully in the process of discovery. I am confident, as are all the faculty here, that it will be for you the most thrilling of adventures. Again and again, you will have the memorable experiences of realizing just how rich and complex human understanding is. You will stare blankly at a great painting or a great poem, wondering what it's all about. And then gradually, layer after layer of meaning will unfold before you. Or you will be asked to think more deeply and critically than you have about something you have believed in for perhaps all your life, or have just taken for granted as being right and true. And then you will be stunned by your own incapacity to defend that belief, and unsettled by the persuasiveness of other perspectives you had not heretofore imagined, and now you must contend with. And over time, and with the repetition of these encounters with your own ignorance, which turns out to be a normal condition of a thoughtful existence, you will come to feel relaxed, in a state of humility, and exhilarated by acquiring the powers of imagination to appreciate human genius and the magnificence of the natural world. the power of thought will become your best friend. This is why all of us here today feel a sense of envy at what you are embarking on. For us, it's not been there, done that. It's been there and would do it again in a heartbeat. Next, I want to say just a little about the times in which you are coming to college. College is such a defining part of our lives that we naturally look at what is going on in the world outside and incorporate that into our own identities. If you would just give a nickel to Columbia, and I really hope you will, for every time over the rest of your life that you say, when I was a student at Columbia, and then recount some major historical event, each of you will endow a scholarship for your successors. We know that things will happen while you are here that we cannot now predict, and they will have an impact on how we think. And maybe they will have an impact on the way in which you conduct your lives. But besides the unpredictable, we can already see that you are going to college when truly major and historically unprecedented forces are at work reshaping our world. You arrive at Columbia when the nation is engaged in 2 wars, when 16% of the labor force of America is unemployed, when the greatest economic revolution in human history is transforming the lives of billions of people. Yet right now, the global economy is experiencing the most severe stress since the Great Depression 80 years ago. When the vulnerability of the natural environment and of species is at its height. When our own political culture seems unduly fragmented and disturbingly unable to find common ground. And when principles we have come to regard as integral and fundamental to a good society, like freedom of speech and press, 2 things I care about, are being challenged and threatened on the new global stage. And now we must argue for them all over again. All these and so many more momentous issues will have to be sorted out. And it is you, quite frankly, like your earliest predecessors, John Jay and Alexander Hamilton, who will have to do the sorting. Which brings me finally to Columbia, your university. Here is another simple truth. If you're a person who is interested in exploring the greatest achievements of the human mind, in really immersing yourself in their works, and if you're a person who is also interested in being an explorer in the world at the moment of its creation, then Columbia is the best place on the planet to do those things. This university is incomparable in its respect for the intellectual and artistic heritage of humankind across all civilizations, and in its daring to confront and to be part of the world as it is and as it might be. So on behalf of all of us, the trustees, the administration, the faculty, the staff, it is an enormous pleasure to be with you as you embark in this special and unique venture in your lives at this time in world history and at this great, great university. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, President Bollinger. At this time, I'd like to introduce students representing Columbia's various a cappella performance groups who will lead us in singing Columbia University's fight song, Roar, Lion, Roar. You'll find the lyrics in your program, so I encourage you to sing along. We ask that you remain in your seats until the academic recessional is completed. Again, welcome.